Hi, welcome back to Harmony Yoga. Today's class is going to focus on this idea of practice, right? Our yoga practice, our meditation practice is not a rehearsal, it's actually a practice so we can become familiar in our own body with these ideas of being still, disconnecting from things that are not helpful, maybe even toxic to us, and learning these practices and enveloping these practices into your life is helpful because you can't really learn new things in crisis. But boy, in crisis, these practices are super helpful. So whether that's an emotional, physical, or even a mental crisis, coming back to what we learn in these practices that we can become stronger all the way around. So come with me here, taking a comfortable seat, either sitting on your lower legs like I am, or sitting up cross-legged on a block. And this is the little simple test for today. Can you take an inhale and an exhale and pay attention to the breath the whole time? So I like to say there's no shame in this practice. It's all just observation. It's all just noticing. So can you stay focused, and closing your eyes might be a nice way to begin. Taking your awareness inside of you and with the breath. Can you allow the breath to come in, down through the nose, down through the throat and into the belly, and then let the breath come all the way back out while staying focused on the breath and not focused on, I should be feeling this, or this happened, that your mind wanders to that thing or the next item on your to-do list, right? So we want to stay right here in the present moment, taking a deep breath in and exhale. Try that one more time, checking in with the mind connecting to the breath. Inhale and exhale. Beautiful job. So that's a free opportunity for you all times of day or night. If you're having trouble going back to sleep, something so simple as focusing on one breath, simply one breath. Notice how that shifts the game for you. So I love that practice. It's a great way for us to center ourselves. And this is an opportunity for you to set an intention for your practice. If there's a prayer or an intention that you have for someone in the world or our world at large, this is an opportunity for you to just center your heart on something outside of yourself. So we center in ourselves in order to have a collective energy that we can send out into the world. And so once you set that intention, feel free to bow the thinking mind to the feeling heart, that place where all joy and love and peace resides. You just bow to that place, and then feel free to lift your head, open your eyes, and let's come to a standing position. Place your block to the front of the mat. And let's start here with a couple rounds of breath. So making the feet parallel and hip width apart, bending the knees slightly, moving the thighs back, scooping the tailbone down and elongating the spine, lifting the shoulders up and away. So we're hugging the shoulder blades onto the back just gently. So we create an opening through the chest and then take the throat back. With palms facing forward, take one big breath here. Exhaling fully. The next breath, we're going to initiate the breath and let the arms float up on the breath. Good, and exhale, release the hands. Do that again. This time bend the knees slightly, reaching up, looking up, and then exhale, sweeping the hands down by bending the knees. Let's go one more time here. So now we've initiated the movement with the breath. Good. This time when you come up, stay up, and let's come into this side stretch by leaning over. I'm leaning over to the right, so I'm stretching out through the left side, pushing down even more through the left foot, and feel that extension come up through the side body. This hand can move down the leg, or it can even reach up and grab the wrist, but be very gentle here as you pull up and over. Nice. We're still staying with the breath. So on your next inhale, rise. Exhale, release the hands and notice. Maybe you notice me or notice in yourself. We've stretched out one side. Can you see I'm maybe a little bit lopsided? I feel very lopsided. Maybe you can see that. And then inhale back up again. Let's go to the other side. So again, you can grab the wrist, or this left hand can go down the left leg. Push down more through your right foot, stretching out through the right side. Staying with the breath, so nice, long, slow, steady breath. Keeps you present in the practice. Good, and on the next inhale, rise. Nice job. Okay, so let's come to the front of the mat and inhale again up to the sky. Exhale, reach the hands forward, move the hips back. Good. Inhale, reach all the way up to the sky. This time as you exhale, come into your forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway up, and exhale, release down. Inhale, step the right leg back to deep lunge. Push through both feet and rise. You can even walk your hands up your front knee if you want that extra support. Rising up with the arms. Lifting up through the heart, even lifting the gaze if that feels comfortable for you, or keep your gaze straight ahead. Back heel moves back. Good, reach your hands down to the mat. Step back to downward facing dog. So here in your downward facing dog, I like to bend one knee and then the other, especially as I'm just starting out in my practice. So if there's some tension in the lower leg, even up into the hamstring, by bending, you can even bend both knees. This can be your down dog by bending both knees if your hamstrings are tight. The inner edge of your elbow, the elbow pit, we want to rotate the arm externally so the elbow pit reaches toward the front of the mat, pushing all the fingertips down, move the hips back. Release your heart toward the earth. Staying here, or you can start to lift the hips. So any of those dynamic movements will help you as you begin your practice. You can bend and straighten. You can explore by bending one leg or the other. Yeah. Good. So none of these postures have to be so stable that you feel like you're stuck and you can't move. You can feel free to move in the posture. That helps us explore and find any stuck tension. Bring the right foot up between the hands. So we're deep lunge on the other side now. Back heel moves back. Hands can walk up the front leg. They can be on the hips or reach the arms up to the sky. Hugging the arms in, scissoring the legs together, drawing the belly button back toward the spine and lift the heart. Nice, release your hands down. Step forward, forward fold. And again, here in your forward fold, you can bend one leg and then the other, or bend both and play around here. So I've got the block here. I can set it on the highest setting. If I'm tight through the hamstrings, we want to really protect the low back. So this might be your forward fold. If this comes easily to you, feel free to touch the ground. So you're finding your comfortable place to be here. I'm just making sure we've got a good connection. All right. So in your forward fold, now let's go back to the chair. Sit your hips back. Reach your hands forward. Push down through the feet. Reach all the way up to the sky and then bring the hands together right in front of the heart. Nice. And here, let's go around again. So inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. And exhale, come down to your forward fold. Again, you can be on the block or hands on the floor. This time we're going to step the left leg back to deep lunge and swivel the left heel down. So now your feet are perpendicular from one another. Take the block to the outside of your right ankle. Move the hips back. Bring the left hand to the left hip and rotate the left shoulder back. Take the head back. Scoop the tailbone. Stay here for one breath. Take a deep breath in, be present here. And exhale, release. So in the practice, we're practicing being present to this moment. not rushing off to the next moment, right? Not even to the next pose. We're staying present in one pose before we transition, and the transition is as much a part as your practice as any pose. So now this time we're going to straighten the front leg, keeping the left hand onto the left hip or reach the left arm up to the sky. So notice here my palm is facing you. I can even bring the hand forward in order to rotate the shoulder back and then lift the arm up to the sky. So that's just a little exploratory move there you can do to see like how much shoulder mobility do I have? And that's something that comes with practice, right? It comes in time. A little more mobility there to move the shoulder back. The more we move ourselves up and away from the floor, the easier that's going to be to move the shoulder back. So sometimes we end up kind of curving inward because we don't have that mobility. So feel free to move your hand up the leg, or even a chair would work to get you a little more upright. So you're listening to the body, not putting your body into a pose so much as introducing the pose to your body. Good. Now step back to top of a push-up position. You can always drop your knees down. So it's nice to be able to modify based on what's going on with you. Especially if you've got shoulder issues going on, that just lightens the load, right? So if your knees are down or your legs are straight, either way, we're going to draw the elbows back as we reach the heart forward and slowly lower onto the belly. And then lift the legs, interlace your hands behind your back, and lift the shoulders, lift the legs, breathing deeply into the belly. Let's go one more deep breath in. Good, and release the hands. Push back to child's pose. So the knees are wide, the big toes are touching. You can release your head to the floor, to a block. You can stack your arms. Feel free to stay here or come back onto the belly. And let's interlace the hands the opposite way now. Press the tops of your feet down, but extend the knuckles back towards your heels. A little bit different here. Inhale. Exhale. Now we'll join the rest back in child's pose. Curling the toes under, lift yourself up to downward facing dog. And then reach the left foot up between your hands, swiveling the back heel down, coming upright. Grab your block, place it to the outside of your left foot. We're going to bend into the knee first, reach down for the block, and let's start out with the right hand on the right hip and rotate the right shoulder back. The head, notice where the gaze is somewhat immaterial in this position. So if it feels better to look down toward your front foot or up to the sky, we're going to reach the right arm up to the sky, straightening the front leg, drawing the shoulder blades together on the back, pushing down. Now I can lower the block, I can take the block away, or I can move my hand up the leg. So listen to the body, what feels right for you so we don't start to curve over, right? Again, reaching the right arm forward, rotate that arm back, the shoulder back in the shoulder socket. Arm back in the shoulder socket, that's what I mean to say. Good, coming into that triangle position here. And then reach the right hand down. Step forward with the right foot. Inhale, hands to the hips, elbows to the sky. Push all the way down through the feet and rise. Pausing here, close the eyes. Feel in such simple movements here, just notice the pulsation of the breath, the rhythm of the heartbeat, the presence of the mind here on your mat. Nice. Now take a wide stance with feet parallel, hands still on the hips. Push the inner thighs back and come into a wide-legged forward fold. From here, maybe your hands stay on the hips. They can be on a block.
There's some options here. You can reach your hands forward, so it's like a super wide downward facing dog. You can even grab your ankles. You can walk your hands through behind you. Plenty of options there, so listen to your body. So if you don't pay attention to your body, you're probably not present for your practice today. So if I asked you to put your body in a shape that's not comfortable, that's really taking your mind and your spirit away from what we're doing, because it's not gonna feel right. So we want to create congruency here. So after your forward fold there, let's come into a warrior two position. So right toes facing toward the small end of your mat. Again, we're going to push down and rise up. Move the inner thighs back and send the energy from the tailbone down both legs. You're really actively pressing into all four corners of both feet. Take your arms out shoulder level. And do that again, thighs back, scoop the tailbone, and actively reach out through the fingertips. And the palms in this position are face down, and it's okay for my neck to look out over my right hand, but notice you can do this posture in a way that supports what's going on in your neck and your shoulders. Now reverse this. Take the left hand down the left leg, right arm up to the sky, and maybe even taking your right hand across your heart, and think about trying to lift the heart into the hand. Either way. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, release down, make your feet parallel, and let's go to the other side. Left toes out to the left, move the thighs back, scoop the tailbone, and then bend into the left knee so the knee comes over the little toe side. Arms come up shoulder height, looking out over the left hand. Staying present here with the breath. And then reverse your warrior. Take your right hand down your right leg, left arm up. And again, we're trying to lift and open the heart. So pressing the heart and the hand together might be helpful for you, or feel that extension if you like that version. Nice job. And release. This time we're going to bring the knees down to the mat. So I've got my toes curled under and my hips right over my knees. I'm going to extend the right foot out. So the right toes are facing toward the long end of the mat. And the same kind of idea here, where we're really stretching out the side body, just like we've done a couple times through class here. Stretching out, reaching up through the left, taking the right hand down the right leg. Yeah. And then start to spin the heart and the gaze up toward the sky. Yeah. Feeling your body from the inside out, remaining present here. Now take the left fingertips down to the mat. You can always use a block for an extension. If the floor is too far away for you, use the block. Otherwise, the same idea. We're going to spin the heart up to the sky. The right arm is going to come over. So now can you feel the long line of energy between your right fingertips and your right foot? Staying here with a nice deep breath in and out. Wow. Good. Release. Come back to both knees and notice what you feel in the body. It's going to feel a little bit different the right and left side, right? So we're going to create the same thing now by taking the left toes out to the left. Inhale, reach the arms up to the sky. Leaning over to the left, take the left hand down the left leg. Turn and look up to the sky, opening the heart. And then bring the right fingertips down. So we're still pushing into the left foot. The right toes are curled under. Now I've got a long line of energy from my left fingertips down to my left toes. Looking up under the armpit, taking a deep breath in. And exhale, come down onto your seat. Take your left leg out in front and your right foot into the inseam of your left leg. And I like to kind of grab the tush here, pushing down on the inseam and pulling out. That's an external rotation. Sorry, internal rotation. We externally rotated our shoulders earlier today. This is an internal, so the inseam of your pants is going down. That's thighs back. You hear me talk about that a lot.
And then the toes are lifted and separated on both feet. So staying upright here, reaching the arms up to the sky, and then see if you can keep that long, tall spine just as you push your hips back and you reach your fingertips forward. Yeah, how does that feel? So listening to the body. If it's easy enough for you to grab your foot or the floor, your ankle, your shin, whatever feels good for you here, but we don't want to start curving in on the spine. We want to keep the spine, the integrity of the spine long and strong. Good, and come upright. And then let's switch. Take the left inseam, or the sole of the left foot into the inseam, and then push down with the left hand, pull out with the right. And notice how that helps orient your foot. So now you're sitting more on your sitting bone, and then a long line of energy from your sitting bone all the way up to your fingertips, and then push the hips back, reach the hands forward. Right, and you're just listening to your own practice here without respect to how far you could go. Just be present with how far it feels comfortable to go. That's probably the best news, right? You can just listen to your body, and then you decide hands can come wherever it feels comfortable for you. Good, and go ahead and rise. And then let's come into a gentle twist here. So keeping the left foot underneath the right hip, bring the right foot next to the left knee. Easy enough, right? If that doesn't feel right, feel free to straighten the left leg. Otherwise, you can keep it bent and tucked in here. And then the right hand, or the left hand on the right knee, right hand behind you. So I'm going to probably be opposite you, but just listen to the cues, because then we'll be going the same direction. So as I push down into the earth, I'm pulling the low back in, lifting the heart, then I can turn and look over the right shoulder. You can also use the elbow against the knee. We want to be careful not to use so much power that we torque the back. So we're letting the back lead the way. Inhale, we get tall. Exhale, we turn. Good, and unwind. Bring the soles of the feet together. Push into the earth behind you. And we can do this again where we, ouch, just got a sliver. Okay, so push into the earth, rotate your hips back so the inner groins point down toward the earth. And notice how your knees open up a little more. So I'll show you this. If I was sitting more on my sitting bones, my knees pop up. But if I push down and aim the inner thighs down toward the earth, the knees just naturally open. So I'm not trying to force them, right? And you can stay here so you can keep this upright posture. Or you can reach around and grab your big toes. Or even start to fold forward if that feels like a nice posture for you without creating constriction. Some people, their hips aren't designed to be able to fold forward in this position, so just listen to your body. And we'll take one more deep breath in here. Staying present for that one breath. Good. Now take the right foot under the left hip, left foot around the right knee, right hand to the left knee, and left hand behind you. Inhale, lift the low back, lift the heart, and begin to spin. So the right lung is going to come over to the left. Staying here with the breath. One more breath in. And exhale, release. So now we're going to come down onto our mat, and there's a couple options here. I'm going to show you a couple options here. So I'm going to grab a block. Well, let's do this first. Let's go ahead and come down onto our back. So just set your blocks aside for a moment. And if you don't have a block, you can use a couple books work also. So I'm walking my heels toward my hips. You decide how far. And then pressing the elbows down, lift and open the heart, walk the shoulder blades underneath you. And then plant the hands down next to your hips. And inhale, lift the hips, press through the back of the head. So the eyes are looking up toward the sky.
It's best for your neck. And then that breath, you're gonna stay with the breath. So inhale and push into the feet. Feel the back of the head, and the heart is trying to reach up over your head. Now, a couple cues here. You can scoop the tailbone towards your knees, and then attempt to straighten your legs. Now, they're stuck on your sticky mat, so you probably can't straighten. And then take one more clearing breath here, focusing the breath. Good. Now you can either come out of the posture onto the floor, or if you have a block, you can set it on the lowest setting and rest your pelvis. So the back, if you think of your hip bones, right behind that is what's resting on the block. So your sacrum, it's very grounding to the sacrum. Staying here, or you can lift your legs up toward the sky. Coming out of this posture, I want to show you one more thing. You can go back and do just what you did. You can go back and do bridge, supported bridge, or legs up the wall. Or there's one more posture I want to show you, and it uses both blocks. So this one I'm going to put on the lowest setting, and this one I'm going to put on a little bit higher. So that's a medium setting. And then my shoulder blades, the same idea with the back of the pelvis on the block that we just did. Here the shoulder blades, this is very grounding, and it helps the shoulder blades kind of come in, and it helps the opposite side here, the heart, it helps that open. And then you've got this other block right under your head. So notice if I tried to reach down toward the earth, there's a little bit of strain going on. So that's why we put something under our head, so you can play around with the height of the block. And then the feet can go, there's a couple options. One, you can take the feet as wide as your sticky mat and just draw the knees together. Or you can come into that position where the soles of the feet are together and the knees are open. And then the palms can open to the sky. They can also come to the belly to check in with the breath, letting the hands ride the wave of the breath all the way down to the belly. If I invite you to let go one more time, what part of your body actually hears that message and releases? So I noticed I was holding my shoulders a little more than I needed to. If I'm going to be here for a while, I actually can allow gravity to release me. So imagine you're going to be here for a lot longer. Then you realize, okay, I can't hold the tension. I've got to really let that go. So you're supported by the blocks or the floor. So softening the jaw and the eyes. So again, you've got some options. You can stay here for the remainder of the class, or you can slowly, gently roll off the blocks, move the blocks aside, and come into your Shavasana position. So again, we press the elbows down, lift the heart, open the hands, and just release the feet out to the side. As you release that held tension into the earth, releasing anything that is not serving you anymore, we think about breathing in peace and calming in the inhale, and releasing those things that are not helpful on the exhale. Perhaps it's worry. If you tend to find yourself worrying about things that really are not under your control anyway, maybe that's something that you can invite yourself to let go of. Sometimes it's people. Sometimes there's people we need to let go of. If it's a relationship that's not working, or maybe even it's a relationship that we're trying to manage a little more than is appropriate. Especially as our kids grow up and we realize, okay, they're their own people, they're on their own journey. We can love them, but we can let them go with love. Let them go freely on their own path. Do we find some inner peace when we do that? Notice what comes up for you as you've invited yourself to think about what might need to let go. And then can you just notice what happens as you let that go? So we're not in judgment, we're just observing. Can you feel a release physically in the body? And if this is the first time you're practicing with me or at all, that's not going to happen the first time. That's why we keep practicing. So we find these subtle changes, just little subtle things that happen throughout our practice. Now bring the mind back to the breath. Make some movements with your fingers and your toes. Slowly walk your feet to the earth and hug the knees into the chest and rock yourself here side to side. Coming to rest on the right side. Pause here for 2 full breaths. So now you're present in this relaxed posture, ready to absorb the benefits of your practice today. Take your left hand, push it into the floor, come up sideways. In this upright posture, bring our hands together in front of the heart. We remember our intention from earlier. We remember how we felt before we began. And with all gratitude for this practice and for each of you, thank you for being here.